go live. I had the opportunity to have my guests, had a wonderful time. We checked technology and we're just ready. We can't wait to bring our guest live. It is actually an honor. And here she is. Let me go live. Da 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 da. We're waiting for her to connect. And here he is. Maddie, hola.
Hola Juanca, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien, ¿y tú? Bienvenida. I believe this is your first live on Instagram.
It's my first Instagram thing ever.
Okay, well, welcome to the 21st century. As I was telling one counselor in Bogota, Colombia, I say, I don't have an Instagram account. I say, well, you better open Instagram and welcome to the 21st century. Bienvenida.
Gracias, amigo.
¿Cómo está, mi pana? How is everything in Washington? Or wherever you are, I'm sorry.
I'm in the DC area. Yeah, I'm in Rockville, but this is the greater DC area, so I'm about 7 miles from the border. Okay. Things are relatively quiet, you know. Everybody's, we've got stay-at-home orders for at least the next couple of weeks in Maryland and Virginia until June 1st. So everybody is, those of us who are fortunate enough to have work that we can do from home are working from home, working with the Seminole. I had finished my studies, and so it was time to go home. And I did. And when I was job hunting, the job came up at Escuela Campo Alegre, which is an international school, and they were looking for a French teacher. And it just seemed like that was a good transition for me, having been in the U.S. for quite a while. Go back to Caracas, but to be in an American international school. So that's how I started there, doing French. And then eventually went into college counseling there. About 3 or 4 years into my time there, and fell in love with that career. And then, you know, it's like once you're in one international school, you kind of want to try the next one. So I spent 9 years in Quito as the director of college counseling, and that was a very fun, very exciting opportunity to grow professionally as well as personally. And then from there, I sort of switched things up and went to Jacobs University in Bremen, Germany. And that was kind of unexpected. I was looking to go to Canada at the time, but the job at Jacobs came and I wasn't going to say no. And it was an incredible opportunity. And that, I will say to you, it was very funny. I hadn't spoken German in about 25 years at that point.
Wow.
But soon I became fluent again, and you know, I could tell the difference when my colleagues started switching from all the meetings in English because I was there to all the meetings in German because I speak German anyway. That was kind of like the threshold point there.
And then you transition into International Baccalaureate organization.
Yeah.
And tell us from that switch back to the United States. How was it and why? Why did you select to come back and for this job?
Well, I mean, the job came across to me and I was like, my wife and I were looking at the possibility of moving back to the States because her dad was older and needed more care, and it was that time. So we were looking, and I was keeping an eye open for things that would bring me to the DC area. And when I saw the IB job, it just seemed really to fit me really well. It was a university relations manager job at that time, and it was, you know, sort of connecting, being a spokesperson for IB to universities in North America, actually in all of the Americas, Alaska to Argentina at that point. And I said, I think I could do that. So it all worked out. I've been there now. I'm soon to be 8 years. I'm 7 years there. And my job has evolved and changed, of course, through the time I've been there. But I'm still committed to making sure that students have access to higher education and in general, making sure that there's access and equity for students at all levels, because the IB is not just about, you know, the transition to university. There are programs all the way through as well.
Correct. And one of the fascinating things that I learned, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is I saw that there is almost 50%, if not more, state college state around the world, like public institutions that offer the IB diploma. How do you help in that term of access, and how many in the forecast? My last statistics, and you please correct me if I'm wrong, I saw you guys are in 138 countries. I saw that 2,800 schools around the world. but that fact is from 2011.
Oh yeah, we're definitely in a different place now. I believe we're in about 155, 160 countries.
Okay.
And we have about 6,500 programs. That is, we have a whole range of programs
Mhm.
in about 57 or 5,800 schools. So
Wow.
it really, even in the last 10 years, has grown tremendously, and that growth in the U.S., in North America, so in the U.S. and Canada, a vast majority of our schools are actually public schools. But then there are countries like Ecuador and you know, places in Mexico and in Japan and in Argentina, where, and in Costa Rica, of course, which has a big public school contingent. So we're really, to me, that's exciting because, you know, when I first started IB, it was all about international school kids who have a certain, you know, cultural mindset and a certain amount of affluence and can go anywhere in the world and speak 3 or 4 languages. But what the IB has done in the last 20 years is transformational in terms of providing world-class education that engages students in a completely different way to students of all incomes. It doesn't matter what socioeconomic class, and I think that's why I've stayed with IB. It's because of that commitment to access and equity, particularly in the North American continent, but now seeing it grow in other parts of the world as well.
Good. So before we get into access and equity, I want to mention that I belong to International ACAC. I believe that I've been a member since the year 2000 or even prior to that. But actually, you guys, I look at you as one of the founders of formerly called Overseas Association of College Admission Counseling, OACAC. And Marie, how many of you were there, and how did you guys became with the idea to found to make this organization what it is today with so many members from around the world?
Well, I will make a disclaimer. I'm not one of the original founders. So
Okay.
before the conference, the first conference, there was a group of European counselors that were working on trying to get or what they called overseas ACAC started, and that took a lot of work behind the scenes with NACAC, which is the National Association of College and Admissions Counseling,
Mhm.
because they had to change the bylaws in order for a lot of the schools to be able to join. But once
Okay.
that happened, there was the idea of having a conference, and the first conference was here in Washington D.C. I
Okay.
believe it was at George Washington University, and there were like 9 or 10 of us in a conference room for 3 days talking about international education and college counseling and how to advocate for international students. And that's how it started. So from there, you know, 9 people, maybe
Okay.
10 in a room, to what we are today in the thousands, and with a global organization, it's very exciting growth. So when I was president-elect, as you know, the president-elect plans the conference for that year. I was
Mhm.
president-elect, I believe, in 2004, 2003, 2004. And I remember giving the opening speech at Brown University and saying, "We are 278 people in this room. That is amazing." And look at us now. You know, we're usually in the 1,200 people range at the conference. That doesn't even fill in our whole membership. But I think the whole idea of mentoring and connecting admissions professionals from around the world has been played out very strategically and very thoughtfully by leadership through the years, and I'm very proud to have been a part of that.
Well, I am so proud of you, and I'm very honored. I actually served on the International ACAC in government relations, but when I look at you at the conferences, I look at the voice of international education, equality, access, and also the voice of ethics. And you've been a huge advocate. It gives me the goosebumps because
Oh,
you protect us, educators. You have a strong voice, opinion, and it carries. And the work that you guys have done throughout the years now, couple thousands of members from around the world, phenomenal, I think. And one of the things that I'm gonna miss this year at our annual conference is you being there. And when we go to the membership meeting, you always second. You always second every single motion. So that I'm gonna miss. So you're gonna have to say that at the end of this program, Marie.
I second that emotion.
Approved. Motion approved. So Marie, so a lot of people are here, and I know that you mentioned one IB, one answer. So I know that we have to go with what is on your FAQ, but we have parents, we have students here that are taking students taking the IB. Certainly, we're living unprecedented times. This is
Yeah,
something that you've never seen on your career. I never seen on my career. No, even our parents have seen. There is a rapidly change on online education. And
right.
actually, I'm taking a certification now with IE. And Carlos Pallero, he just mentioned 1.7 billion students around the world from K through not only 12, undergraduate, graduate, PhD program, and you name it, all type of education. By the year 2025, 50% of that 1.7 billion population will be going online. Right now, we're at 17%. And I know you guys had to adjust very quickly to this transformation of technology. What are the conversations, if you guys can tell us a little bit, because now we have students with exams, predicted IBs, and can you give us kind of like A through Z answer to this complex question, please?
Okay, so let's take the easy part first.
Okay.
The easy part is always what's going to happen. We didn't have exams. You know, how are universities going to react to this? Universities are asking, well, what are we going to get for grades? So I think we start there and get the easy part out, because that's actually factual information that's available on our FAQs page on the ibo.org website about how we're going to do exams and so on. So let me just give you like a bird's eye view of that. So traditionally, has IB is actually not just a set of exams. As you know, it's a program. It's very holistic. It has a bunch of different components. It has the courses. It has the core. It has the core is community creativity action service. It's the extended essay. It's a theory of knowledge course. And then in addition to that, the 6 subject levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think what a lot of people get confused about is that when you get an IB final grade, it's not just the exam that you sat in May.
Correct.
It actually has 3 different components, that final grade. One is something that's called an internal assessment. And that is a big assignment that has been given to the schools by IB. And traditionally what happens is that assignment is turned into
Hello, Marie. I think I lost you. Marie? Well, we're running a little bit of technology here. Can you hear Marie? I can't right now. Marie Vivas, where are you? Interrupted. She just disconnected. Let me invite her back. And Marie Vivas, let's see. Technology, come on. She's coming back. It says waiting for Marie Vivas to connect. So we can wait. Thank you, Christian. I'm trying to see if maybe Marie ran out of battery. Her telephone was plugged in. We check test. So thank you so much, everyone, for your patience. And we're waiting for her to connect. We are live with Marie Vivas from International Baccalaureate Organization. We talk a little bit about the life of Marie. Yes, we have to be flexible with this one, using internet these days. Thank you so much. Thank you for sending a message. And I'm waiting for Marie to come. So while she returns to our chat, we're gonna go back, and Marie, she's probably refreshed. And we're waiting. And
here I am. I'm back.
Okay, don't you leave. I hope, did you have a beer or you got a glass of wine? Come on.
No, I have some coconut water here actually.
Okay, good. So you were saying, go ahead.
So anyway, we have this internal assessment, right? It's a big project. It's usually graded by the teacher and then sent to IB, and IB moderates all of them to make sure that teachers are grading in a good way, and it's also a major piece of the assessment. In some cases, it's worth up to 20% of the grade. And then we have another thing that's called an external assessment, which is another big assignment that is given to students, but that is sent directly to IB for grading. And then you have the exam, which is what everybody's familiar with. So this year, what we did was, instead of having the exam in May,
Yes.
we're going to take the internal assessments that are usually graded by the teachers,
Yes.
and instead of having the teachers grade them, they're sent directly to IB examiners.
Okay.
So we have that, and we have the other presentation or project that's the external assessment. In each subject, there's something like that. And then we have the internal IB predicted grades. All of these things are taken together with all the data that IB has collected over 50 years to create a mathematical model to project the student's grade. But it's actually based on major pieces of work that have been completed and are being graded externally by the IB.
Okay.
So I just want to make clear that it's not like there are no grades.
Okay.
We actually have parts of the grade. We're just going to use that to extrapolate. And there are people much smarter than me in assessment working on that. So students were asked, and most students have already submitted their internal and external assessments, and they're running through the IB assessment process even as we speak.
Okay. And we had a couple weeks ago, we had Fiona Reese from UCLA. We had yesterday Adrian Ramsey from Babson. We will have Boston University, George Washington University. We have University of Miami. We will have a lot of universities coming into this conversation program.
Right.
And we're asking that question. And Fiona, I remember she mentioned that they're going to be, this is the year of not an easy pass, but flexibility. And they're actually looking into that transcript very carefully. They are looking into what other type of involvement has the student had in high school. So it's like a holistic review as well. So I've been telling our students that is it not an easy pass by no means, that they really have to work on those assignments that you guys are putting through, and that's how evaluations will come through. So that's basically, and if you want to send a message right now to students that are watching, what will be that message to you from you?
Well, congratulations. Most of you have turned in and completed your assignments. But more importantly, there's a lot of support from the university community. They understand the circumstances, and they are working with us and with other exam boards to make sure that students get the recognition that they've been working for all this time. And if you go on my IB Counselors Facebook group, on the International ACAC Facebook group, you know I've been posting as universities are telling us that they're going to honor the IB credits that students get this year. So I would like to bring down the stress level a little bit and say that everybody is working on behalf of students. And I think everybody is trying to make the best decisions they can. It just takes a little bit of time to run through those processes, but you can bring down the stress level a little bit in terms of IB exams. You're pretty much done at this point, and universities are taking them into consideration, and they're taking into consideration the situation.
Okay, Marie, we don't know how much longer this is going to be. I mean, some countries, we don't know when the airports are going to be open. We don't know frontiers. I have a question for you guys. What about international students that, let's say, they are at a United World College and they are from Argentina, but they were attending the school in Hyderabad, and because of time zones, they cannot connect through Zoom or technology. How is that different to the students that are connected through Zoom with schools, same time zone? Will they be penalized? A lot of students are really worried that they're just turning in assignment, that they're not connecting because their peers, they have daily classes, some others they don't. It's a little bit of chaotic for the students, and it's creating a lot of confusion.
Well, I mean, let me start by saying that the IB examiners are all IB teachers in schools around the world. And I think that they understand the situation. And I think that IB is committed to fairness and equity around the world. And you know, our colleagues in Asia have been on lockdown a lot longer than we have, and I know that there's been teaching across 13 or 14 time zones happening. I think that IB is intent on making sure that the academic rigor is there, but it's also intent on being fair to students. And I think that that process will show itself in the assessment process. That's done predominantly by IB teachers anyway.
Okay. And in terms of short-term and long-term, we don't know yet what's going to happen. We don't know about student mobility, if they will be able to return this fall to their boarding schools, to schools around. We just don't know.
We
How
don't.
is, if you can answer this question, and it doesn't mean to be tough, but how are you guys preparing for the next semester, no summer, but next semester, if borders are not open and we still need to be on this online community? What preparation are you guys anticipating?
Well, I think the IB, so, you know, as an organization, we don't tell schools exactly what they have to do. We're there to support and make sure that the programs are being run fairly and rigorously. But I think that the thing that we are very keen on is supporting schools through their processes. So whether schools have to continue to do online learning, and that may be or may not be, we don't know. The IB is the IB is interesting because I think that by focusing on how we learn and how we are responsible for our own learning, we're teaching students from pre-K through grade 12 or 13 that you can be responsible for your learning and that you're a co-participant. And so it doesn't matter if you're online or if you're sitting in a classroom, you're still expected to take active role in how you learn, how you acquire information, and how you deal with it. So I would say that IB is very suited to guiding schools and students through uncertain times, because we're saying it's not about sitting there and memorizing a list of numbers. It's about how you use those numbers and how you apply the knowledge that you've acquired. And so because we're so focused on skills across the curriculum, across all 4 levels of the curriculum, I think that we can support not just with the academic learning, but with the social emotional learning that needs to happen. And how do you make that happen if you're in an online venue? As a matter of fact, colleagues on my team, I just came to this conversation from a meeting with colleagues on my team here in the Americas that are going to be doing webinars on social and emotional learning in an online environment. And, you know, it's amazing to me the level of expertise that exists with my colleagues just in our small team of 10 people, that they are already thinking ahead. How do we support reentry? I have another colleague, 2 other colleagues that are talking about, well, learning through trauma and, you know, supporting reentry when that happens. So even just in our small team, we're already looking at how do we support people through whatever uncertainties are coming up in the next few months.
Correct. Marie, and your title, Senior Developer Manager. What is that? What does it entitle?
Senior Development Manager?
Yeah.
Okay, so my job really right now has 3 parts.
Okay.
Part 1, I continue to do university relations. I mean, that's how you and I connect, and that's what most people in our circle know us for. So I have a team, and we advocate for IB students to universities, and we connect universities and coordinators and counselors. And so we're an education branch in the sense that we're teaching universities about the IB, but we're also teaching schools how to make sure that universities understand their IB programs. Okay. So that's part 1, and the part that I started out doing in IB. Part 2, that's fairly new. I've been doing it now since 2017, I believe, is that I actually manage, so I have a boss, he's the head of outreach and development in the Americas, but I manage a team of about 5 people who are in charge of bringing new schools into the IB. So if a school says, I want to do IB, we have a whole application and authorization process. We're the people who help those people come on to the IB. And so I have 5 or 6 people. We're a team of 10, so I manage about half the team. And a number of them are doing that job, and then other people are helping with university relations or are helping with, you know, a variety of operational issues that we have to work with. And then part 3 of my job is that I actually have my own territory of schools that I bring into the IB. So my territory is Ontario and Quebec, because I'm the only French speaker that does this job in our office. And so I actually spend maybe 50% of my time now bringing schools into the IB, helping them through that process. And that's exciting because it's, to me, like, what's interesting about that is that the IB journey is transformational. It's transformational for the schools. Mm-hmm. And to sit with a school that says, what is this IB thing? We think we're interested. And have them like learn, who are we and how do we fit in and how does our mission align and what kind of school do we want to become and what kind of individuals are we trying to nurture?
Yes.
So that's the part of my job that I'm relatively new at, but that also is very exciting in that sense that I can help transform a school with the people there who really love their students and really want to do a good job of preparing them for, you know, education in a century where things are changing so quickly that we don't know from one day to the next what's going to happen. So those are the 3 parts of my job.
So you've been with an organization founded in 1968 in Geneva, which, if you can tell right now, has touched thousands and thousands of the students' lives around the world.
Yes.
Because of the international student mobility, you guys have done such an amazing job with transformation. But I see correlation between IB and their cohort foundation and you when you actually start working with your national ACAC, and now you're leading this vision of, and right now the vision will be transforming because of this online situation that we have right now. So it's something that we're very proud of you, Marie. You are an amazing advocate. But I have a question here, and this is your opinion, and it's no IB opinion, but it's your opinion. What's the future of education? How do you see, you've been in education, I won't say how many years, but what's the future? What's the future looking like for education?
I've been in education for 35 years, and my parents were both college professors, so it was inevitable. To be honest with you, I think that we are going to see more online education happening. But I also think that we need to be mindful not to lose the personal touch of education, the touch that nurtures citizens, that nurtures thinkers, that nurtures people who are able to apply knowledge critically. And so what I see is that we're going to have some kind of melding of the online and the personal platforms in the future. I think what's important is to educate lifelong learners who can, in whatever format they're learning in, take the knowledge that they're being given and apply it to their lives as their lives change. And that's going to require flexibility. It's going to require intellectual and academic rigor. But it always comes back to me to how do you define citizen? Because we're educating citizens. Okay. And I think there are 2 definitions of citizens in my studies. And one is a good citizen is someone who shows up on time, who wears their uniform, who respects the rules, who contributes positively, and all those things are great. But then I think of the other kind of citizen who is the engaged critical thinker who is working on creating a certain type of society. Mm-hmm. And so to me, the answer is we have to be able to nurture both of those things. The person who shows up and does what's needed to do. And obviously now when we're looking at people, you know, showing up to take out the trash or fill the grocery shelves, we need people to show up and do what needs doing. But we also need them, and it doesn't matter what your career is going to be or what your socioeconomic level is going to be. We need people who can also be critical thinkers who are who are working at the big ideas of what kind of society do we want to be. So to create citizens, we have to be able to bring those two things together. And that, to me, should be the future of education. We may be a little ways away from that, but that's what I would love to see.
No, Marie, just conversations with you are always fascinating. We get very deep, and I promise everybody that we will cut it under 30 minutes. But I have one very important question. How are you? How's your wife? How's your family?
You know, we're doing pretty well. We are, of course, staying at home and observing social distancing. We're in good health. My family, for the most part, most of us are able to work from home, except my folks in Venezuela are having a tough time, as you know. But that's a situation that's been going on for decades, but it's only getting made more difficult by a pandemic, of course. But my immediate family, with one exception, we're all able to work from home. My brother in Florida is actually out in the field. He works. He's an optician and he works at a retail store, and he's in charge of, you know, making sure employees are even healthy enough to come into work and stuff like that. So always a little bit of concern for him, but he's taking good care of himself in terms of wearing his protective gear. But we are privileged. We need to consider the fact that we have jobs. We have paychecks coming in. We have homes. We have people around us who are healthy. So I'm always, I don't mind being locked in. I have everything I need. I can order food. I have Netflix. I have my wife who's really good company. We're very amused by each other. That makes it good. I'm able to connect with people like you.
Thank you.
But I'm also always mindful that we are a small segment of the population. And we need to be very aware of the fact that there are people out there who are not as fortunate, and how can we support that? And there are varieties of ways of doing it. So I will make a plea. If you are in our position, find a way to support those who are not. And the work that you're doing, Juanca, very important. Getting information out to people that really need it, that are thirsty for it. And I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud to have known you all these years and to have known you since you were a young pup.
Thank you so much, Marie. And I'm very thankful you mentioned that. And a lot of people, we see people here in the United States desperately needing food as simple items. So I've been encouraging our students to please, from home, from their computers, whatever they can do to donate food in Venezuela, in Colombia, Latin America, all over the world. People are starving, and no matter how the president of El Salvador or Colombia say stay at home, people don't have any food. People don't have any meals to eat. So I've been desperately telling people, please, let's help foundations, people that are collecting food. That's our job right now. That's our priority, to help each other. So somebody just mentioned that if politicians could lead like you do, we'll be in a better world. But Maria, you are inspirational to all of us, and I'm blessed. We're honored, and I can't wait to see you, to give you a big hug, to drink a cerveza with you. Cheer. But for now, we have to work hard. And everyone, this is the superhero Marie Vivas from IB organization. Thank you so much. We will come back. We will see you in a couple months, see how things are doing. This conversation will be recorded, and it's being recorded actually, and we will put it up on YouTube for those folks that didn't watch it and weren't able to see. So thank you, Marie.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for the good work you're doing, Juanca.
Thank you. God bless you, and stay safe.
Hasta pronto.
Adios. For you, here we are, JCT for Education. Bye-bye, Marie.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.